Hello there, and welcome. I can't not say it. To Movie Phone.
Welcome to Movie Phone.
Welcome to Movie Phone. That's
If you
that's
would like to
indelibly branded on my
get the
brain.
times of the most up-to-date movies, plus play.
Dual rant night. Yes. Welcome everybody. Welcome Kurt. You are as usual first in the chat. Welcome to season 2, episode 28 of Lawfully Chaotic. Thank you for allowing us a break last week.
Is that what that was?
That was, well, for me it was. But we are back, and tonight we're going to talk about corporate greed in general, but specifically within the gaming industry. Is the gaming industry immune because it's so awesome and everything we do is great, or is it not immune? Spoiler alert. It's not immune.
Not immune.
So we'll talk a little bit about that. We have, we have some specifics to call out and bash, which we can do because nobody sponsors us, and we don't really give a shit.
And honestly, if they sponsored me, I wouldn't give a fuck. I'll still back them.
Exactly right. There. Yeah, same. So before we jump into that, Jason, you have any announcements?
My life got a little bit busier. RPG Club we're currently in beta with a limited release to our existing tables. We're probably maybe another few weeks away from rolling out to the general public. So we're really excited about that. I'm working on 2 new tables. I had wrapped up 2 previous tables, had some fun one-shots that I ran recently. Taking a break from publication work. It's entirely too time-consuming, and I simply just do not have the chance, the ability to do so many things. And I just recently got a project partner going with a possible convention that we're going to work on for the local community, which will,
that's awesome.
Create some sponsor probabilities and some other stuff. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention backstage earlier. Yeah, I know, right?
I told you we don't have sponsors, so
yeah. So we
but like Jason said, even if we did, I mean, nobody wants to hear smoke blown up, people's asses anyway. So,
SideQuest Games, located in Pomona, California, asked me to be a keynote speaker for some of their events coming up.
Wow!
As well as run an anniversary table for them as well. So.
Damn.
Lots of little things kind of burbling to the surface locally, which is fun because I want to get out in the physical world again. I love my remote players. My remote tables are a blast. But it is fun to kind of participate in the physical world as well from time to time. So I'm excited about that.
That's fantastic. Congrats,
man.
What do
you got? Awesome. What do you got going on? Because everyone's asking me, when the fuck is Candela Obscura coming out? Because everyone wants to get their hands on the full room.
I love how people think that I'm privy to that information.
Hey, you know what? Whether or not you have access to a shit house is irrelevant. Your privy problems are your privy problems. I'm referring to the fact, where is my, then there's the Thursday game. There's always that question too.
Oh, well,
right?
When the fuck is the Thursday game? I told you, I make no promises that that's going to happen before winter. I'm just, I realize that I've just got too much going on in the summer to be able
Summer's over, baby.
Summer's
over tomorrow. Literally, summer's over tomorrow.
I know, but it's going to hang on. It usually hangs on in Chicago till November, maybe mid-November. The boat goes away.
That's just called a warm fall, my friend.
Okay. Hey, in Chicago, anything that doesn't involve snow or gray skies or 20 degrees, that's summer.
Is a win.
Yeah. So the boat goes up. We'll probably bring the boat down to the yard like mid-October. So that will free up a lot of time. Winds and yeah. So this this winter is when that will happen. Okay.
The winter of
As far as
2020.
the winter
92.
George
Yeah, our marketing game. See,
yeah. No, to do that, I would have to write 3/4 of it and then let a bunch of idiots write the rest. And
Starbucks coffee cup in the middle of production and forget to edit it out.
I do not know. I do not have the release date for Candela. They don't tell me those things. I do know that it is close. Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of Daggerheart, I have no info on that other than
I didn't get an email response at all, so I just kind of assumed
he takes a while to respond, so don't read into that. I'll keep you posted on the playtesting. Along those lines, Critical Role streamed their Mortal Kombat one-shot last night with Marisha leading the table, and Sam Riegel and Travis, and what is I forget the other two. I'm so sorry. But anyway, I did all the overlay work for that. Naturally screwed up one of the icons on the nameplates, which I missed, they missed, Warner Brothers missed, and NetherRealm missed. So we were like, oh, whatever. But of course, it took the audience about 0.7 of a second to not
like
miss.
7 milliseconds to go, hey, that's not right.
Yeah, but it'll be corrected on the VOD. So anyway, that was pretty cool seeing that. Working on a board game with Darrington Press. That's ongoing. That's about it. Otherwise, just kind of trying to keep up with my corporate stuff, and gearing up now that it is fall to get rolling on a bunch of content.
For those of you tracking schedules, we will probably be off the first week of October, since I'm shutting my studio down for 9 days to go to one of my events. So that's another thing that I've been prepping for.
Yeah,
is getting all my inventory and camping gear and everything ready for our week-long event that we do up in Taft. Big fair that it's not traditional Ren fair, but it's a big SCA event that we do.
Okay.
In the fall. The fall, FALL. September 22nd is the equinox.
The fall. After winter there, it's the fall here in Chicago. Yeah.
And I find it interesting.
I mean, after summer, not after winter.
Yeah, I find it interesting as we get near like the end of the year, like all this shit starts hitting the fan there. Like the fan is slowed down because it's clogged with lots of shit with people throwing shit at the fan.
There's a lot of shit throwing. Ohio Ren Fair going strong down here. I could actually drive down there. That's drivable.
I heard it's a pretty popular Ren Fair too.
Yeah. All right, Kurt, I'll reach out to you. Maybe I'll come visit you.
I think he takes his kids to that.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's a lot going on. Okay. So with that, let's jump into our topic, Alex. Corporate greed for $600 billion.
Well, and I think we need to set the stage for this, because we've had previous conversations that focused specifically on WotC when the whole OGL thing blew up, and it created a lot of conversation around the emotional idea of a brand being tied to emotion, being tied to corporate, being, the unrealistic reality of people who identify through corporate brand, through corporate brands and love of a product, and therefore somehow think that a product is like immune to like the normal greed factor of corporations. And I know we talked about that corporations aren't capitalism. Greed is not capitalism. Capitalism is a democratic creation of a free market society.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you get to be a greedy corporation that changes laws to allow yourself to be treated like a human being, so that you have more rights than an actual human being has because of your manipulation of the justice system.
Yeah. So, but not even. But yes, that is a big part of it. But I think well, I don't want to say but. I'm going to say and, because none of what you said is out of bounds, obviously. Yes, Games Workshop will be a large part of the discussion tonight. I think it's more so of, now I'm going to caveat this only once during this episode, okay, and not again. And if Twisted UO and Shunjin join us for chat, Matt and Jeff tell me all the time every day almost because we
Right.
complain about this shit as it pertains to the rest of the world.
Right.
Businesses are exist for one reason, and that is to make money. Okay, obviously, that's you know that's the table stakes. All right.
Right.
I don't begrudge anybody for making money, and I certainly or being rich even. There is a point at which it crosses an intangible line toward to and I don't know what the right word is. In some situations, unfairness to a company's own workforce, unfairness to their customers, taking advantage of their customers. I definitely think there is a line there that is often crossed. So I think we'll be talking specifically about yes, the whole WotC thing with the OSL, WotC's move with Magic. Games Workshop had a latest move with their tournament rules for Warhammer 40,000, or I think maybe even both games. And then a couple others. So I think we're just going to do like it's going to be a larger discussion.
Yeah, I think I think we could say that we've transitioned out of the era of optimism that used to exist prior to 2015. And I think we're now officially in the era of cynicism. And the problem I have with that is that when you create cynics, you are devoid of moral compass, because apathy becomes the standard. If they're doing it, why can't I do it?
That's basically where we're at as a country right now, and right, I would venture to say kind of worldwide.
Well, I think a lot of generational shifts have come into play, and these things are playing out in both the business world, the political world, and other places that they're obviously exposing raw nerves to things that people are very passionate about. And I think because of our ability to live longer, for the first time we have that collision of so many different generations at the same time. We just have this unique societal shift that's going on. And in our corporate mentality, we have this idea that once we get you hooked on a brand, our job is then to squeeze every last penny, dime, and nickel out of you that we can. What can we do that makes you feel like we love you, just as we fucking break your neck and get that last coin?
And I think that's actually a really great way to sum it up in one sentence. The elevator pitch of this discussion, I think you just summed it up pretty well.
So
learn from the cartels first. Samples
Unity,
free.
So Unity comes to mind in the gaming development community, and it actually affects me because there's a tool I use called Tailspire, and it uses the Unity service for
Tailspire is a virtual tabletop system that is fantastic. It has an element where you can create Hero Forge miniatures and import those right into Tailspire.
So, and actually use them as a three-dimensional piece within your three-dimensional board. It's very, it's very intricate into my business and what I do professionally. So, they had to release a statement, and, it's not important what the release is because it's irrelevant. What was once a free service is now going to cost people money to use it. And I think the way they went about it is, the way they went about it was an exact replica of what WotC did, which was ignore the community.
Let me stop you really quick. So, what's their business model before, when it was free? What's their business? How do they make their money?
The business model is that they're a development tool for developers.
Okay.
So, they sell Unity libraries. They sell, what they call them? They sell packets. They sell.
So it's the razor blade model. The razor is free, and the blades are what you pay for.
Yeah. So initially, I think their service was meant to be free because it was part of their model of growth. Once they realized that COVID wasn't going to last forever, they realized that it was something they could tap into. But once again, I don't think it's a bad thing to tap into that opportunity. I think where corporations like Unity and WotC and GW, and we'll talk about some Kickstarter challenges as well, but they're not willing to engage the community. Like, they're missing the point of the brand and how important the brand is. And without that engagement, we just feel like money sponges that are just getting wrung out, and people's first emotional response is, oh, what a shock. Another company looking to, drain us of as much money for our beloved brand that we've fallen in love with.
I would say it's more so not engaging. It's that companies that are guilty of this take their customers for granted.
Well, I don't even know if they know how to take a customer for granted. I don't think that's in their vocabulary anymore. I think when they
it depends on who we're talking about. WotC, yeah, they don't. As far as they concerned, they don't want customers.
To be honest with you, any corporate level greed kind of existence, they don't. I mean, you can look at Activision, you can look at all of the AAA gaming shit that went on for years, and the blowback that the Baldur's Gate 3 community, the fanboy community and everything else. Hey, Ashen. It's how do I say this? Because it's so easy to calculate data, we're not even on there as people anymore. We're demographic data points. We're completely kind of just pulled out of that commodity just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Well,
we're 82% of a demographic realization, and that's all they view us as.
Yeah. Well,
and then they go, oh, how much money can that make?
It's the whole corporate persona when you're coming up with a product or a campaign or whatever. It's like, you're right. It's like, oh, here's the demographic persona, and here's 4 of them, and you're right. It's just a gate for that data.
But it didn't used to be that way. And when we were talking earlier about why this is becoming okay and how we're in the age of cynicism, I think I don't know how you teach a moral compass to people that don't think it's relevant to the profit line. Like, there's a company that
I have an easy answer for that. You don't.
Yeah,
there's a reason they don't have a moral compass, and you're not going to install one in them.
There's a great little community called Free Water. And you can become a distributor for them where you give away free water.
Mm-hmm.
And their model is advertising. So on the cartons of free water, people pay for the advertising space.
Okay.
But I can have a cooler of water open, and people can just take it for free. Right? Okay. And it doesn't cost me to buy the water.
Interesting.
It doesn't cost anyone else to buy the water from me. But yet, if I'm in a high traffic area, like when I go to the events that I go to, we have a day spa here with lots of traffic coming and going. I've got a meeting with them tomorrow to talk about how I can become a distributor, because their moral compass is, how can we provide everything for free?
Wow.
Right? Can I give you free food? Can I give you free water? Can I give you a free place to live? Can I give you this? There's a little hint of dystopia, like a little hit of like dystopian, utopian reality with it. You could live in a free apartment as long as the door is an advertisement, or the tinted window is a tinted advert facing the other way, or
what Idiocracy I mean? Pops into my head where every fucking thing is sponsored by Taco Bell and Blondie.
It really, I mean,
interesting. Do they use? Do they employ homeless?
I don't know what they do. I'm meeting with them tomorrow to talk to them about it, because that's electrolytes.
But why's it got them? Because your body needs them. Why? Because they're in there. Why? Because they're good for you.
I'm going to talk to them tomorrow, because I really love their model. But it screams the word that we don't use anymore, which is ethics. Like the idea of having some solid ethics in place, some solid empathy. It's like in the political world, all you have to do is lie, and that's okay. In the corporate world, all you have to do is lie and be greedy.
Well,
it's okay.
It's interesting because the bar has been set so low now. The bar is currently set so low that
it's on the ground.
It's really not difficult to be a shining star like a company like that. I mean, all you have to do, like you said, all you have to do is have some modicum of ethics.
Yeah.
And I, as a branding and an advertising guy, I have always thought, another company that comes to mind is Patagonia, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't, they run that company like a company should be run. They're ridiculously profitable. Okay, could they be making more? Probably.
Absolutely.
As far as I know, is everybody involved with the company happy? Yeah. Okay. So why do you have to go that extra? Anyway. So the bar is set so low that really you just have to realize. Oh, okay. I know what I was saying. So in branding and advertising, and we all know that you can measure fucking everything, right? Everything is a data point. Okay. Everything is a metric.
Right.
I still feel, and maybe this is a little old school, but I still feel that there is an intangible aspect that you cannot measure when it comes to brand loyalty. Okay. And some companies get it and some don't. Another one that comes to mind is Southwest Airlines. Some shit happens and they do the right thing. Somebody's crapping their brains out on the airplane and they turn around and go to the gate. Is it frowned upon by FAA rules? Did you break some rules at the airport? Whatever, who cares? They did it because they put the customer first. That goes so far towards establishing that customer loyalty just because you treated somebody like they want to be treated. And you can't necessarily measure that beyond just long-term business growth, I think.
Yeah, and I think,
and that's why people, like you said, corporations want to be treated as people, but yet they don't see people
legally
as
they
people.
are people.
Right, but they don't
legally
see people as. But a lot of them don't
our
see
judicial system.
Right, but a lot of them don't see people as people.
Right,
and that's the thing. Like, treat me like shit. You can go fuck yourself.
Well, I think when all of this, really started with Starbucks. And I think when you saw all the retail centers beginning to kind of band together and say, you know what, fuck this shit. Why are we not getting paid a fair wage? Why is, a Bezos or all these other billionaire club members allowed to make, extraordinarily sick amount of money to the point where Bezos can waste his money on building a phallic rocket.
I know.
It's a dick and balls that he gets to spend countless
Well, he bought such a ridiculous yacht that he wanted that he couldn't
so
get it out into the fucking ocean.
That is so far behind everybody else in the competitive space. It's like, wow, you literally could have built cities with that funding.
Yeah.
And still, we would have still had successful outcomes with our technology within the space industry.
Exactly.
Because there's plenty of competition in that era or in that area that's doing well, right? So in the gaming spectrum.
Yeah, let's get back to, go back. You never, what was Unity's response? How did they handle it?
So Unity is making the same mistake that everybody else is making. Rather than cross that scary threshold of reaching out to the community and saying, hey, we have a revenue stream problem and we need your help. We know how much you love our product, but unfortunately we are forced to consider ways of earning more capital so we can continue to grow and continue to bring you great products. I'm not a marketer and I put that together on the fly, right? And to what Ashton's talking about, because they weren't even willing to have that, they've lost all the trust of an entire development community. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people using their product who are now going to go over to Godot and use their product or use Unreal 5 point whatever they're on, right? Like, there's all of these competitors out there that are staring at what Unity did and staring at what Warhammer or what Games Workshop is doing, what WotC is doing, what's Kickstarter doing to solve their problem with now kind of sketchy Kickstarter organizations, that aren't fulfilling their orders, because it turns out just because you put together a great Kickstarter program doesn't necessarily mean you know how to operate and run a business. Do hobby, look, I don't know what it is. I don't know why these companies are so afraid of their clients, of their customers. It's like a really good example is, working with the RPG Club. Why are people afraid to look at someone and say, that's not a good idea, why don't you try this instead? Or why don't you reach out to a group of people that have been using your product for hundreds of thousands of hours and get that feedback? What is going on?
Because, and this is where my industry is at a lot of fault, okay? The advertising industry convinces companies to spend millions upon millions of dollars for this black magic. And I'm not bashing the entire advertising industry. I'm never going to get any work again, ever. But a lot of agencies, that have massive overhead and gigantic teams sell this kind of like black magic shit. Years ago, not too long, it's probably, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago already. Pepsi redid their logo, okay? Their little red, white, and blue circle. They spent $1.2 million of that. A fucking college intern could have done that in a weekend at home. They literally changed the little curve of the wave and rotated it. Yeah. And there was this whole fucking presentation about what this means and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, it's fucking ridiculous. And another aspect of the advertising industry, again, is turning everything into an analytic and a metric, right? That is why companies most of them are so afraid of engaging with their customers, because they forget their customers. Like you said, it's just a demographic or a bunch of metrics. I truly believe that. And I know I sound like the old guy yelling at the fucking cloud, but an aspect of it is fucking true.
But I wonder if truth in what WotC did and what
it is all, Kurt, it is all analytics. Advertisement is all analytics. I'm working for a company now, just an example. I'm working for a company now, and I'm obviously not going to name it. And I'm not going to go too deep into what I'm doing, but it involves email, email communication for existing customers. It is the tools that they use. I mean, the whole fucking thing could be serviced by AI. Is basically what it comes down to. Because it's basic.
That came out of your mouth.
It's basic. I mean, it is. It's basically there because every fucking thing is an analytic down to every goddamn letter on that page. Yeah. Right.
Well,
and then what happens is you lose sight of the forest through the trees, because all of a sudden,
Bring us up to date on the GW fiasco that's unfolding. And to be clear, we need to level set that against the fact that ever since they, came out with 10th edition. Oh, I know. It's brilliant. It's an absolute brilliant statement. The thing about demographics is it is only relevant to the times and culture. We're all products of our environment. It's very well stated. So GW was already getting they were clamping down on their licensing about a year or two ago. Right?
Okay, so
creative, what people were creating with the Warhammer images and all that stuff. Okay,
so
then they were
hold that thought right there.
Yeah.
Okay, because what I found speaks directly to that. Okay. So we all know Games Workshop, they have, I mean, I don't want to say I've been collecting. I used to collect. I mean, I have Games Workshop stuff that I've, painted up from ages ago. I haven't bought anything from them in probably 15 years. But I've got a ton of shit. Here's a few examples. I just love this stuff. I've never even fucking played the game. I just love it. I love the canon.
The models are cool.
The models are fucking cool as shit, and in my opinion, they are the highest quality, best models you can possibly buy anywhere in the gaming industry. Period. Okay.
I'll never agree with that statement, but I'll fight for your right to say it.
All right. Well, thank you. I believe that is true. Okay. I really do. So I found their investor page. Now, this is not a traditional just here's our mission statement, because if it was, it would not be anywhere near this long. A mission statement is like this paragraph right here. Okay. So it is, again, I'll caveat this by saying this is on their investor page. So this is their business model. Again, this should be in an annual report. I don't know why this is on, the website.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read a little bit of it. All right. So we have a simple strategy at Games Workshop. We make the best fantasy miniatures in the world. I believe that, to engage and inspire our customers and to sell our products globally at a profit. Ding. Remember that. It's number one.
Yeah.
We intend to do this forever. Our decisions are focused on long-term success, not short-term gains. Simple, but every part of the statement is important. We make things. We're a manufacturer, not a retailer. We do have outlets and retail locations, and these stores show customers how to engage with our hobby of collecting, painting, and playing with our miniatures and games. They are the front end of our manufacturing business. If our stores do a great job, we will recruit lots of customers into our hobby, and they will enjoy spending their money on the products we make. 2, the products we make.
Presumptuous. Hey, GW.
Yeah.
Suck my cock.
Yeah. The products we make for our customers are the best in the wargaming world. Again, I'll back that. This is because everyone at Games Workshop is passionate about our hobby. First of all, I also want to just interject and say, I don't know who the fuck wrote this, but it was either a 6-year-old or AI. Okay.
I guarantee you that it was written by chatbot.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Yeah.
Every year we seek new and better ways of making our products and improving the quality. This is not simply a personal obsession. It also makes good business sense. We know that for a niche like ours, people who are interested in collecting fantasy gaming miniatures will choose the best quality and be prepared to pay what they're worth. 3, doesn't this smack of, please buy my product?
Yeah.
We're sorry.
By the way, continue to buy our shit.
Yeah.
Because we're about to take away all your old shit that you used to love, and now we want you to buy the good shit.
I'm getting there. But this is like pleadingly, like it says to me, we have to make excuses for how expensive our fucking shit is. That's the way I read this. Play with the word. The games are a key part in our hobby and our business model. Our games are played between people present in a room, a game workshop store, a club, a school, not with a screen. They are truly social and build a real sense of community and comradeship. This again makes good business sense. Okay. The more fun and enjoyable we make our games, the more customers we will attract and retain, and the more miniatures our customers will want to buy. 4. This, in turn, allows us to reinvest in making more and more exciting miniatures and games, creates a virtuous circle for all. I think they mistyped that. It probably should have said vicious.
Yeah, vicious would make
We're
sense.
also clear that we will only make fantasy miniatures, not historical ones, blah, 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 blah. In addition, we can and do defend our intellectual property rigorously against imitators, thus ensuring that our worlds are synonymous with quality. Okay, that's fine. Our customers are global, people within our particular hobby gene, that is collecting, painting, and playing with fantasy. Soldiers exist all over the world. Our job is to find them. In developed markets, we do like this ourselves in our own Games Workshop stores. Here we employ wonderful people and recruited for their enthusiasm and willingness to help others. Our store manager are quite literally that, the center for their hobby in the local community. Remember how they said they're not a retailer, they're a manufacturer?
Right.
Yeah, sounds a lot like a retailer to me.
Yeah.
Because it takes time, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I love virtual signaling and dog whistling.
Yes.
Is what all that shit is.
The best businesses at helping us are independent shops run by owners. See, I mean, this is definitely written by a moron or chat bot. Know their customers, offer a good price. We call these stockists. We supply them with easy to manage, blah, 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 re-emerging, blah, blah, blah. Games Workshop customers, range of products. Okay, finally, we know that Games Workshop, if it's to be around for a long time, we have to deliver all this profitably. I'll let that one pass since this is speaking to investors. This is why we are cost conscious. We don't spend money on things we don't need, like expensive offices, prime rent, or advertising that speaks to the mass markets, blah, 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 blah. We only invest where it makes a positive improvement on our business model, such as tooling to make better plastic miniatures, opening more Games Workshop stores, not a retailer, to improve our customer service, blah, 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 blah. And when we make an investment, we measure its impact to ensure it delivers improved, blah, 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 blah. Our continual investment in products, quality, using our defendable intellectual property provides us with a considerable barrier to entry for potential competitors. It is our fortress wall. While our 400 or so Games Workshop stores, which show customers how to collect, paint, and play with our miniatures and games, provide another barrier to entry, our fortress moat. We've been building our fortress wall and moat for many years and have the competitive advantage they provide to give us confidence in our ability to grow profitably, blah, 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 blah.
The tone of that bullshit letter sure changes at the end, doesn't it?
I mean, like I said, it's like money, spend money, buy. Spend. It's not about profitability.
I'm pretty sure
it's not about
need to buy the material to build a moat. That might be a good cost-cutting measure.
But it doesn't speak to profitability or margins or cost structures. All it speaks to is people spending money on our shit. Okay, right. Yes, it is. That's what they're here for. Right. Now, so the thing about this specifically is that over the years, they have raised, first of all, beyond the sculpting and the 3D design and the R&D and the tooling. Okay, once all that's done, they already have all the equipment, all the large, machines, right? Molding machines and whatnot.
Yeah.
Beyond all that stuff, you know how much the material costs to pump billions of these fucking figures out of an already produced mold? Less than a fraction of it costs to put them in the package and print that package.
Well,
plastic miniatures, when they are molded like this, are fucking cheap as shit. My dad was in a similar business, and the material they put into their extruder machines was almost a non-cost. The raw material was almost a non-cost because it was so low. Okay. Now, their shit, and I've ranted about this before, so I won't go into it beyond saying their shit is expensive as fuck.
They're Dungeon Forge or whatever that.
We're talking $30 for like this, okay? And we're talking like, this I put together of a bunch of figures, but if this were sold in a box, it would be $70, okay?
Right.
Now, they've also set up, which is brilliant.
Thank you, Dwarven Forge. That was the one I couldn't think of.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah. Magic the Gathering in its early days, they've got tournament play, and the whole game is built around whatever you are playing, your model has to reflect that down to the last grenade. Okay. Correct. Brilliant, right? Because if you want to build a new army, guess what? You got to go out and spend X number of dollars to get all this fucking miniatures.
Yeah. I mean, I even heard people would buy
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so two things that they did. I didn't know that, Gary. So they put everything behind a paywall. Cards. Okay, so now you're buying a miniature. So now you're buying a miniature, and if you want the stats, you have to pay for it. Additionally, what they just announced is that there's a whole list of their miniatures that they are putting into legendary status, which guess what? Means you can't use them in any tournament or any store game or anything. What the fucking hell? Okay? I mean, you could almost argue that Magic or WotC had the right to do that because that was a collectible trading card game. These aren't fucking collectible in terms of rarity and whatnot. So basically, that is such a giant fuck you. All that is, we realize you've spent 80% of what we expect to get out of you, So we're gonna make this move so that it basically dumps you back down to the 20% level, and then you still have 80% more of your money to spend on our fucking product. Is basically how I see that. I mean, talk about taking advantage of your fucking customers. I hate this fucking company. I hate them. It's ridiculous. I love their shit, but I refuse to buy it anymore because they are just so fucking greedy.
They are, how shall we say, it is definitely, well, so here's the thing, because 3 Miles brings up a good point, right? In the D&D world, the WotC TTRPG gaming world, at what point do editions stop being important to the core identity of the product and simply become a money grab for the intended?
I can answer that. From 5e to 1D&D or whatever the fuck they're calling it. That's when.
I don't know. There's a lot of argument for 3.5 and 4e and the transition out of 3.5 into 4e. 4e is arguably the best lore writing they ever did, but it was also the boom of retail stores and the boom of the WotC retail store. They wanted books on shelves and they wanted you buying them. That's why a 200-page book about bards got produced, or a 12-book series on demons got produced.
Yeah.
It's like, when you look at first edition, second edition, 3.5, you could tell that they were significantly changing the game, right? By fourth edition, it became a crunchy, bloated, ice cream bar that was just offering really good lore and a real stupid mechanic system that nobody was enjoying. 5e then goes off and fixes that. The win for WotC would have been, we feel 5e is perfect. Let us talk to you about how we're going to incorporate the digital community to the future of the future of this product, and how we feel it's going to, move forward with us together, right?
Yeah,
but they don't do that because they can't get that sense of profit and greed. And
exactly,
I know I can if I just rip this corpse apart, a few more bones, something's going to spill out.
The reason, part of the, I don't disagree with you that jump from 3.5 to 4 could have been along those lines. The reason, in my opinion, that I think this jump out of 5e to this bullshit that they're peddling now, I used to eat candy pieces from then I kill opponents.
I just used it. I love that because that reminds me of the old school D&D days when we didn't have minis. You just put out bottle caps or
M&Ms and shit.
Or like the Cheetos were the orcs and the popcorn were the goblins.
Yeah.
And, that goblin's dead.
But the reason that I think that now is that line that they crossed is also because of the amount of content that they put out for 5e. There has been, over the past 3 years, there has been an incredible amount of content put out for 5e.
I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all, because what they did put out is minimal, and what they did put out was rehashed, and what they did put out was garbage for the most part.
Okay, I'm not arguing that with you. But that aside, you can't deny the amount, the quantity. So you put out all that shit and people still buy it, even though it sucks. And then you turn around and say, reset.
I mean, I guess when you think about it, right? I know we keep going back and forth about do you or do you not have the right to earn a profit and be profitable.
Of course
in your
you
attempt,
do.
Right? And I think you definitely have that ability and that right. But you also have the right to be called to the floor when you produce garbage.
Absolutely.
And the only way we could call them to the floor is we stop buying their shit. And when I say comparative content, if you look at the third-party creative world, they've put out millions of pages of content that each individual can choose to qualitate themselves, right? Yeah. I'm not exactly thrilled with the old boy club over at the BattleTech guys over at the Catalyst Games or whatever it's called. I think they need to diverse themselves for the future, but they did a good job of not changing very much of the game, and you could tell that they're more into the tabletop modeling aspect of it and they're not going to fuck around with future editions. You could tell that that's in there.
Yeah.
Right. You could see it in the work.
Hopefully.
Another one. Right. Another recent like most gaming systems, when you see that gaming system come out, it's like, this is our first update in 15 years, or this is our second update in like 20 years. You know, just because you've existed for 35 years doesn't mean those 35 years have allow you to gaslight me and tell me we're better at this because we've been doing it for fucking 35 years, man.
Do you remember?
But, that's not how it works anymore.
Do you remember when the 1D&D announcement first came out? Do you remember what I said?
Oh yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
And I said, great, now I got to buy all new shit. And regardless of them saying this is not a new edition, it's an extension of 5e, what is it? It's not a fucking extension of 5e. It's a reset to get everybody to fucking buy things again. So I'm not discounting what you said. Like I said, it's my opinion.
And my feelings are hurt.
It's my opinion that because of the amount of 5e content, for them to do the reset thing is tone deaf. And to your point, making a profit and getting money out of us, that's what they're here for. Okay? I'm not going to deny them that. It's the way that companies go about doing it. Yeah, like you said, rather than trying to get me to buy another 30 hardcover books because you rewrote the rules, get the digital component together and do the fucking microtransactions, do it well, and do it so it makes sense, and I'll be happy to give you my money. But when you treat me like a schmuck,
that horse is not only dead, that horse is rotting in the shade.
I know it is because
they're going to do that because there's no profit in it.
Wait, no profit in what?
No profit in doing anything that makes sense. Greed is where they see their profit margins. So they're already
if they approached it correctly, but there could be a lot of fucking profit in it. Look how much money Blizzard made off of World of Warcraft with in-game fucking
but let's talk about how they don't understand their demographic or culture anymore.
Okay, we don't need to get into it though, but for a time you were happy to shell out $10 for a fucking hat for your
But it goes back
tune.
to the earlier comment that Ashen made about not understanding your demographic, right?
Yeah.
They released Diablo and people loved it.
Yeah.
They made a chapter update to it and everybody hated it.
Yeah.
You know, and then they put their devs out on stage and people are like, these are the fucking guys? These are the ones that are steering that ship? You're just like, these guys are fucking morons. And they're steering that ship. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's baffling.
It is. I mean, I think, I don't know, man. This move by Games Workshop, on top of their cost, on top of everything else, to change the status of their model so that when you go anywhere but your buddy's basement to play, you're not going to be able to play with that expensive shit that you bought. What the fuck? That's the epitome. And WotC did the same. And WotC did the same thing with Magic. They blew the fuck out of that game.
When
pissed
the lore
off.
Goes to shit, things die. And if you start thinking about some of our favorite games that have the best lore, Shadowrun, right? We talk about Shadowrun all the time. Great lore, awesome lore.
Yeah.
That was never really impacted by edition changes. The only problem with the edition changes in Shadowrun was they were trying to find a mechanic that people could fall in love with, and they were fucking sucking at it. You know, they couldn't get it done.
Yeah, but to your point, the game still exists because the lore was so great.
Exactly. But when you create a world filled with panda bears, and you know, when you take a lore like WoW and just retune it into something that no one can identify with anymore,
that's when I stopped playing.
You know, it's like it's like, how am I supposed to identify with this game? That you've stripped out all the old lore.
Yeah,
you're not even really creating new lore. And honestly, there's an entire community of creators out there that have made amazing, you know, like lore-driven stories on their own servers that people are having more fun with. It's like, I guess one of the things that we're doing well as a community, we're taking shit from them whether they want us to or not. we're printing minis and playing our game, and we're not buying their shit. You know what I mean? We can go to home brewery and write up our own content and use it in our game. We can make an STL file and download a generic looking Warhammer Marine.
And therein lies why I think, even though I'm completely against what Chris Cox's vision is for D&D, which is all digital, fuck that.
Right.
I still think that if they got their heads out of their fucking asses and curated the online community that they already have.
Oh my God.
They could make a ton of fucking cash and give people what they want instead of pissing them off.
You know what D&D Beyond released this week? They're big. Well, first of all,
yeah, it was Mind Flayers or Pendle.
No. That's the publishing side of shit. I'm talking about their lack of technical acumen.
The
greater part of this entire year, it's like, we're not going to give you anything that's useful, but we're going to give you these digital dice you can buy because it's useful. All right, whatever. They're stuck in that mode. They're fucking morons. Whatever.
Yeah.
This week they released their digital maps. So you can go to D&D Beyond now and create a shared community digital map experience where you can send the leak out to your players, and then you have the digital map and you have tokens. And they're calling it beta, right? This has just moved into beta. And I'm like, you know what, you morons? This is the shit that was in the VTT world like 20 years ago. 20 years ago. You're releasing shit like it's the 11th commandment that's been missing. I'm like, what are you doing? This is the nail in the coffin for me. I am gradually, as my players get more experienced and become detached from the digital experience, I'm trying to move people towards journaling, building their own character sheet. The fog of war with what, like, literally.
I mean, as much as I fucking hate Roll20 because it's glitchy as shit, that is way better. Even that is better.
It's like, honestly, if you're smart enough to know how to catch up, go and look at what's available to buy that off the shelf, and be honest about catching up.
Yeah.
And ask your community what they like.
Yeah.
If 90% of your community is saying, well, we prefer to play in stores, well, a digital experience isn't going to really help you there, is it? And so in the last 2 years of development, Alpha, thank you. Thank you, over 40. I appreciate that. You're right.
Everything about D&D Beyond has been alpha since it's fucking been released. Oh my God,
their encounter creator still says beta.
I know.
And that was released like, what, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Just
I mean, we talked about, Ashton, we talked about that fucking months ago. We talked about it last year.
We talked about it when they merged.
Yeah.
We talked about what they needed their roadmap to be when they merged. And I just I hate to say it, but are like, is 98% the other percent that I thought was smart?
So
and then I fall back on my, I fall back on my corporate reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, well, fuck, I just answered my own question. That's not really how it works. They are that dumb.
So you know what's happening here, the path we're going down. I think that the corporate greed may stem almost more from just corporate fucking stupidity and short-sightedness and tone deafness than any true greed. It manifests as greed because, like you said earlier,
right,
they don't give a shit about their customers, or they don't see their customers as people anymore. Just money sponges. So
that's a good point. I mean, and I'll say we'll wrap it up with some reminders about the caution of going with Kickstarter. Right, Kickstarter is a fun, open community, and I'm going to give you two compares so you can get a feel for why I think it's important that we be cautious about.
Could I ask one question? Because I'm not super familiar, because I stopped playing way before it happened. But while we're still on WotC, what did they do to blow up Magic specifically?
They took something that was exclusive, affordable, and a real fun collection that could be used in tournaments.
Yeah.
And then they made it a more common, not tournament playable outcome that became, a money grab.
So they basically blew the entire collectability and speculative market out from underneath everybody.
Yeah, because they wanted
didn't they re-release everything basically?
They wanted that volume money grab is what they wanted. They wanted that volume money grab.
Right. So my Black Lotus, which I do not own, my Black Lotus is now worthless.
No, it's still worth money. It's just that they'll reprint it as a collector so that you can at least have the card, but then they're not going to let you use it in a tournament because it's not original. But they want you to buy it because it's a collection item. It's like, anyways.
So it's kind of along the lines of what Games Workshop did with the.
They're all kind of doing it in their own. They want to think it's a unique way, but they're all kind of doing it in the same way.
Okay, so talk about Kickstarter now. So I apologize.
Yeah, corporate muckery. I like that term. So what we need to be cautious about with Kickstarter is we can have incredible successes like Zombicide that is not a Kickstarter story. It's a Zombicide story. It's the story of those folks that built that, produced it, marketed it, and really listened to the community as they continued to develop it. Now, one of many of my favorite players over at the Dungeon Run, he goes by the name of Ron Ogden. He's an actor, plays D&D, creator, painter, the whole gambit. Really nice guy. Mm-hmm. I watch him from time to time when I can spare the moment. He tried to launch a Kickstarter. He had this great idea for an advent calendar where each day that you opened it, you got a new mini, and it was really cool. It was like a really cool, and it was in line with the game that he was releasing, right? So he was releasing this game and doing cool stuff, and there were these fun kickoffs for each tier that you get to, and he was releasing a game. And I'm probably, summarizing horribly, but I apologize. He pulled it and said, quality is important to me. We're going to pull it and retool it and see how we can get more people involved and see what it takes for the community to get excited about this. We'll see you in the near future with what we might be or not be doing with it. Then you have Broken Anvil, right? Who put out a pretty decent start. And then that's
miniatures, right? Broken Anvil.
Yeah, it's all miniatures and paint, right? But what happened is they got so popular, right? They thought they could just get away with the lack of economics, right? If you have money to pay for a Kickstarter, don't start another one and then another one and then another one. The whole purpose of Kickstarter is to give you milestones as a company to create affordability of your release. So if you rob from 2 other Kickstarters to get this Kickstarter out, well, now you have 2 Kickstarters that can't get out. Well, you know what? I'll just put 5 more Kickstarters out there.
So that was the gist of what went on with them. It was like a Ponzi scheme almost.
It was basically a Ponzi scheme, and it came across as a Ponzi scheme. And people were looking at what they were doing and going, huh. So it's important, as all of us that enjoy playing these games, wherever you're deciding to spend your dollar, it's your choice, it's your dollar, and it's your responsibility to do the work. Look into who you're buying from. Do you really want to buy that? Do you really want to spend that dollar that took you 40 hours to earn? Do you really want a company to not care about you, not see you as important, not see you as a human being and a potential lifelong partner in their journey of product delivery, that don't spend the money with them? Just don't do it. Mm-hmm. If everybody in this country for an entire month decided not to buy a new car, just for 30 days, don't buy a new car, they're going to get that message in a hurry. that? Yeah, exactly. It's such the Popeye syndrome, right? Such the Popeye syndrome. Ooh, I got to rant today. It was fun.
See, isn't it nice? So they hired and grew too fast, burned up their first Kickstarter money, created the second, hoping to way overreach the goal so they could pay for both. Okay, and then
they
that
couldn't
just went
pay
on
for
and
either.
on.
Yeah, it's a classic Ponzi scheme. Oh, so back to your point about how GW makes the best models. I am going to just dispel that with a kind of an overreach of morality.
Now, wait a second. When I say that, I'm not talking about the sculpts themselves. That's subjective. I'm talking about the quality of their minis.
I think the quality of their minis is overrated anyways. There's a million YouTube channels teaching you how to fix shitty GW models. There's a reason why there's a million YouTube channels teaching you how to do that. So there's that. Secondly, they are amazing models when they're painted by people like you. Without people like you painting them, they're incredibly boring, dull, two-dimensional, and not much to them. Plain and simple.
That's fair.
A great paint
to a degree
job,
that's fair.
You could take a dehydrated piece of dog shit and paint it and make it look cool. If you're a good painter. Great, it covers all the sins.
Hey, Miles, I need a piece of crap right now. He's lying over on the floor. Guess what? You're going to work, pal.
Well, we did it again. We burnt another hour.
Well, hold on. I'm not done ranting, bro.
Oh, no, yeah, we're done.
No, I just wanted to ask. There was one other thing I wanted to. I thought there was one other.
No, you didn't take your anti-dementia pill. It doesn't get to happen.
Yeah. So okay. Anyway, the moral of the story is a lot of companies they're just fucking got blinders on and they don't get it. To me, this comes full circle. To me, I see this as a brand issue. Okay. A big part of it for me is a brand issue.
Yeah.
Because a brand, most people have a very strict definition of what a brand is. I think, to me, my definition of a brand is everything about you or your product or your business that touches any aspect of your audience.
And I'll say there was an old NASCAR saying, I think they still use it. You race on Sunday and you shop on Monday. Yeah. Right? You've got those 50 cars going around the track with all those advertisements and all the advertisements on the wall and the constant bombardment of, there goes the Tide car or the Delco car or whatever, right? And their theory was, you watch them race on Sunday so that all the people watching go shop those products on Monday. Yeah. And, that creates a brand loyalty to a certain degree.
If you don't fuck it up.
I think it's an egregious mistake to tag your own identity to somebody else's brand. I think that's where it gets.
If you're not first, you're last.
Thought they said it. If it ain't rubbing, you ain't racing.
In a lot of instances, the companies we're talking about are well established and have very successful products. And in a lot of instances, it's theirs to fuck up, and yet they still fuck it up.
I'll say this last bit about that philosophy. Mm-hmm. My brief 6-month contract with Hanes taught me a lot about older companies.
Your brief 6-month contract with Hanes briefs?
Yeah. It was a really eye-opening experience to dysfunction. It was we've been around for 120 years. We can't do anything wrong. Want to make a fucking bet?
I've been there with fucking Sears, and Sears paid the ultimate price and is not around anymore. 125-year American institution created the catalog mail order business in the United States and arguably the retail experience, and inside of 10 years. But theirs was not necessarily greed. Theirs was just consummate stupidity.
But we keep pulling back the covers and looking underneath the sheets and seeing, maybe all this is just linked back to just dumb, just the idea of dumb.
Pretty much.
It's crazy.
Dumb or stubborn.
Yeah. Well, we did it. We burned another hour.
All right.
Brian, where can we find you?
You can find me at the Games Workshop store buying. Oh shit! Kidding. You can find me at RPG and Co. On Instagram. That is the best place to reach out. Wait, did you say Blockbuster? You can find me at Blockbuster. On
There's
Instagram,
one
send
store
me
left in Oregon.
Is there really?
Yep.
Wow.
One left.
I think I still have my Blockbuster card from 1987. Yeah, on Instagram, shoot me a DM. That's the best place to find me. Also, check out the website, playrpgandco.com, for some cool content. A lot of it is Jason's. Good deal of it is mine. Apparel, cool stickers and stuff. So
Get them
please,
cool vinyl stickers.
Please buy my product. And then when you do, I am going to discontinue all of those T-shirts and decollectivize them and then make new T-shirts for you to buy. And then I'm going to put them behind a paywall for you just to shop there and blah, blah, blah.
I'm going to charge you tax twice.
Jason, where can we find you?
Over at my Twitch channel has all my About Us. We got a great Discord that's always busy. I think we're almost up to 400 people.
Nice.
And we have a lot going on over there. If you want to find a online game or you want to start up an online game and need some help learning how to do it, just reach out to me. TTRPG Academy over at the Twitches, and look for me. I'm there.
Awesome. Oh, that's a good idea. The sizing option is behind a paywall.
TPK.
Tell a story.
Play a game.
And be kind.
Not everybody.
Thank you all for joining us.